Hi, I'm Robert Oncoy, and in 5 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to respond better in your RJs. Is this you on the beginning of your week at the tutorial on Monday, or day 1? You can pause if you need to read anything here. Anyways, look at these responses. They're so simple. There's no explanation, no examples, no support. These students don't look like they have a lot of ideas. So, is this something to worry about? First, let me say no. Initial ideas and reactions are not always very exciting. It is, though, a starting place. But when you think about what you read and listen to in the middle of the week, you're reading your student book, you're listening to recordings, you're hopefully looking at your workbook and doing some independent learning. Hopefully, while you're doing all this, you're thinking about the tutorial questions and reflecting on other ideas and perspectives. And hopefully, as you do this, and you connect your knowledge, your initial ideas will grow, will evolve, and change. And that's what we want to see in a tutorial. But if you're not really taking care of your RJ, or if you're not really thinking about what you read or listen to, well, on day 4, everything looks like day 1. And that's not a good sign. When teachers see that students aren't really developing their ideas, and they're saying stuff that they didn't need to read or listen to anything for to make that answer, it seems bad. So, there's no growth in ideas, knowledge, or thinking. How do we fix this? Well, first, let's take a look at what causes some of these problems. Here's an example of a lazy response journal. The student may have done a good job of summarizing, maybe. But look at these reactions. You could pause it if you need to read it carefully. These reactions show just an initial "Oh my God, wow, LOL, this is easy to write," and it doesn't really show that the student is thinking. But if this is really what you feel, then that's okay. However, look at some of these comments. The green one here is just repeating the idea from the summary, and the blue one is just talking about things that everyone says. But do you really think so? Why? Why not? Well, let's take a look at what happens when students have these kinds of responses. It almost looks like it's normal, or better, or developed, but it's not. So, how do we show that we're thinking critically? How do we show that we actually are growing in our knowledge? Let's take a look at some good RJs. Well, good RJs invite you to explore the text and test your own understanding. You really have to understand what's going on. You also have to connect it to your personal thoughts and feelings and interests and questions, or maybe even connect it to somebody you might know, a real person, a person in your culture or history, and then of course you compare with other students. Finally, you show that you're growing when you can step back and think about your initial reaction, the knowledge that you're encountering, and making a general connection about society and culture. So let's look in detail. When you're exploring the text or audio, you want to create your own understanding. So these are some good sentence stubs to start with. I prefer no LOL or OMG. And after you've written your initial ideas, take a break and talk to your partners and see how they came with their answer. Once you've compared with other people, it's time to connect to yourself. So, you want to add on to your responses. This can happen later in the day or the next day, but you want to show that you're developing your ideas. You can connect it to a similar experience, or you could try to understand why someone would feel that way. Maybe you're connecting it to somebody you know, or you can show that you disagree. You could even pretend that you were the author and try to guess what you would do or wouldn't do, or put yourself in the story. Next, after you've done this, you want to start thinking about your beliefs and opinions because of the new information. Maybe you could connect it to other cultures and societies. Maybe you could connect it to people in your age group, in your country, in your culture. Maybe you could express a belief or a wish that something could happen to change the situation. Now, let's look at a good RJ. Good RJs start with your initial reaction. Maybe you ask a question. You build on it by connecting it to somebody you know, and then you start talking about society in general. And always try to give examples and explanations. And if you ask a question, make sure you answer it later. And your tutorial can look like this. Doesn't this look a whole lot better? We could see here that the person gives their initial idea and how it's changed. So great RJs